Welcome to the Lee Select Board meeting. It's 7 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order and state that pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, I am hereby informing all attendees that a video and audio recording is being made of the meeting, so you've been informed. Our first order of business is we have the open session minutes from October 15th. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes from the Tuesday, October 15th Select Board meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our next order of business, we have a public hearing. We actually have two public hearings tonight, but the first one we will be looking at is an application for a new lodging accommodation license from RMK Incorporated, Sunset Inn. Do we have somebody from the Sunset Inn? Do you want to come up to the microphone? Just introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about you know, what you have going on.
Well, it's business that's been in place since 1978. Kieran Patel, for starters. It's a Sunset Inn, pretty across from Starbucks. And, other than that, I don't know what to say.
Well, that's fine. Do either of the board members have any comment to make about the application in front of us?
Just a question. What I didn't see as part of the package, it's not a big deal for us tonight, I don't think, is whether or not you got your certificate of inspection from the building department. It just didn't happen to be part of your package.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it needed to be in there.
We're not supposed to issue those kind of things unless it has a current
Yeah, that was
certificate of
issued
inspection,
in
like
May.
similar to a liquor license.
Yeah.
But I just want to, did you actually get the certificate issued?
Yeah, every
Okay.
year it's
Great.
done in
No?
May.
Okay, very good, thank you. I did have one more thing more for our clerical staff here. We had a receipt. Yeah, just something that we need to change in-house on our invoice. It's from Sunset Inn, 150 Housatonic Street, but then it says premises 150 Railroad Street. And we don't want it to say that,
Yeah,
so
I
we
know.
can adjust that so that we keep it, that's nothing in you,
Okay.
that's on us, so. No, as long as they had their certificate, I know they've been here doing business for almost ever, from what I can remember. I can only remember back
1978,
so
yeah.
far.
Yeah.
But no, I have no other questions, and it seemed like all the paperwork was in order.
Okay.
Bob, do you have anything?
No, go fetch Gordon. I guess, if I may, I'll make a motion that
Well, before you, sorry,
Yeah, oh, yeah,
just
it's a public.
procedurally, I have to open it up for public comment
yes,
because the
yes,
hearing.
got it.
So, if anybody from the public at this point would want to comment or ask any questions of the applicant, now would be the time. And hearing no public comment at this point, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
Well, I can entertain, I'll be happy to make a motion to approve the application for a lodging accommodation, which I believe was written down as an inn, not a motel. Yeah,
Sunset
it's-
Inn. Yep.
Right, it's as an inn, well, we have different things
Oh,
that
yeah,
can
sorry.
apply for.
Yeah.
So an inn, I would make the motion that we approve it as of this date.
And what's the difference between inn and motel? If you're just-
You'd have to go to the general law to take a look at that. There is a difference between an inn, a bed and breakfast, a motel, lodging house, but I'll tell you later what the general law is. I know what it is, but I don't want to sit here and go into it. But yeah, it's a minor difference between an inn and a motel.
Okay.
And it's just, you've asked for an inn, so I'm motioning it as an inn.
It's been an inn, I mean, motel for
Yeah.
a long time, up until we just changed the name to
Understood.
inn.
We'll keep it an inn for now, because that's what you applied for. How's that? If there's any issue, we'll get to you.
Sounds good to me.
All right, good enough, thank you. So that would be
So
my motion.
The motion's made. Do I have a second?
So I'll second that.
Second, and any further discussion about the application for Sunset Inn? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye,
Aye. Thank you.
thanks. Pretty painless, I hope. Okay, good, very good.
Our next, so we have another public hearing, and this is for an alteration of premises. And this is for, the applicant is Shri Ganesh for the, for the Mint Indian Lakeside Dining. Why don't you come up, introduce yourself, tell.
By the way, I promote one of the respected members. I'm here to apply for a temporary permit for outdoor seating on the patio for the restaurant serving, because we get so busy in the summertime. So we get outdoor patio, which is enclosed and everything. Just for the excess flow. Just for a summer and fall, weather permitting.
Right. So weather permitting, you've got,
Yeah, we got put 12 tables. 12 people.
We
12,
have a
40
map,
people.
yeah, we have a map is, attached here that
Right.
shows us, sort of the layout, and it's a small, I mean, I'm familiar with the restaurant.
Yeah, it's just
so out the
because
back, there's a patio area.
patio. We
You've never had seating out there before, you'd like to alter your premises or
Right.
permit so that you can, when, weather
weather permitting,
permitting.
because a lot of people they come with a pet-friendly dog,
Yeah.
so they don't want to sit in the restaurant, so we just give them
Yeah,
on the outside porch,
no, I think, it makes a lot of sense to me.
right? Because there are a lot of people come with the pet-friendly dogs and everything, service dogs. Some people are comfortable with the restaurant,
Yeah.
so we tell them you can sit on the porch with the pet-friendly dog.
So, just a quick question for our.
Yeah, absolutely.
Liquor license wise, do we need to do any kind of amendment to our liquor license for them? As far as body count or the layout to go to the state?
No, so
Okay,
the
thank you.
rule just changed this year that alteration of premise for outdoor dining just needs to be approved by the LLA,
Okay,
which is you
great.
guys, and then it'll get sent to the ABCC, but he doesn't have to wait for approval for that.
Super, good.
So as soon as we approve this, you can utilize your outdoor space, it's kind of the end of the year.
Okay,
But
so it goes to ABCC first, right?
it does, but you don't need to wait to hear back from them because
Okay.
the rules have changed. This being an alteration,
Right.
do I have that?
For outdoor
Yeah.
dining.
This
So
is
right now,
being
we
an
don't do,
alteration.
it's winter's coming, we're not doing any outdoor, it's a summer,
Should have done this in the spring.
All right.
No,
I'm all set?
no. Well,
Just a minute.
does the board have any other questions at this point?
I don't.
I don't, but it being a public hearing, I have to open it up to the public if they have any
Sure.
comment about this, so this would be the time if anybody on
That's fine.
Zoom or in person would like to ask a question or comment on the application, please do so. I don't see or hear anybody, so, with that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the amendment for the Shri Ganesh Restaurant as stated.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, and if there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now you're all set.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll see you later.
All right, our next order of business tonight is public comment. And this is a period for anybody who would like to make a comment to, whether on Zoom or in person, to come to the microphone or unmute yourself and say your piece. And I'll give Kathy another minute, but if I don't hear any public comment, we will move on. All right, well, having no public comment, we will move into general business for tonight. Our first order of business is a temporary sign permit from the Evening Star Lodge.
Mr. Chairman, since I am the treasurer of Evening Star Lodge, I'm going to not just abstain, but I'm actually going to leave the room so that I don't impact or have any kind of sway on this motion. Thank you. I'll be back when you're done.
Yeah, so we have an applicant
Yes.
from the Evening Star Lodge, so why don't you introduce
Good
yourself
evening,
and
I'm
tell us
Tom
what-
Warwick, I'm a member of Evening Star Lodge, located at 195
Laurel Street. Evening Star Lodge is a non-profitable charitable institution. I'm here tonight to request a freestanding sign for the lodge property. The property has frontage in the R20 zone, while the greater part of the property is actually in the R40 zone. Zoning bylaw, section 199.7.4, general regulations spell out the general requirements for signage in each district. However, 199.7.7 subsection M is sign for nonprofits, which sets out the procedure for nonprofit organizations wishing to obtain sign permits. The section of the zoning bylaw states that the town's temporary sign permit authority may authorize signs for nonprofit organizations of any size, construction, location, and duration in the same manner as approval of a temporary sign. The lodge is requesting, we want to erect a freestanding sign 36 inches wide by 48 inches high. I believe in the packet you have a picture of what we're looking at. The sign is proposed to be no more than 10 feet from the public, to be more than 10 feet from the public way and no more than 7 feet tall at its highest point. The sign will be supported by two 4x4 pressure-treated posts. The lodge intends to have similar downlighting to the state police sign, which is next door to us. And we comply with the standard of the bylaw and all requirements for electrical permitting and inspections. The 12 square foot dimension is allowed for other nonprofits such as churches, museums, libraries, or schools, bulletin boards without applying for permit. I believe that actually fraternities, which is what we are, was in this bylaw previously. It was, I guess it's just since been amended to take that wording out, but that's basically what we are. Also, residents in the R20 zone are allowed 12 square feet for their home occupation signs, which is in section 199.78A, subsection B, and we intend to have the sign as our permanent freestanding sign. Any questions? The other thing too is we did mention we're going to light it from the top. We're going to light it inward, so it's not going to be coming up, off of the sign, to impact drivers, either trucks or cars or anything else like that. I know that we currently have a light on the front of the building to illuminate the front of the building that we usually go, dusk to midnight. And I know that from midnight to 6 a.m. we're not supposed to have the sign lit, so we're going to fall under that also.
The only real question that I have is this being a temporary sign permit application, but you're going to use this is essentially going to stay up.
Yes.
Is that my understanding?
So
will we have to reissue this? It's just sort of, I don't know if you have that answer or.
Yeah, I was wondering.
I stumped Chris. That's good.
Let me check.
Yeah, because I don't have any issue approving this. It's just this is a temporary sign permit, and we just got this today too. So, and I don't see any issues with it. It's a temporary sign permit, and this would be essentially a permanent sign.
Yeah, if we wanted to make it permanent, it goes to the building commissioner, not the select board.
1 second, and I think
You've been.
there's on the permit.
Yep.
Let me just look at it. There is, from the inspector of buildings, there's a sign off on the permit.
Right. So he did approve that, and I have that, and so it's no problem. I don't have. Do you have anything you want to add?
It's spelled out in the bylaw, and it's clearly spelled out in the description that the bylaw says for the nonprofit or the Eastern Star Lodge, as described, have a right to a permanent sign,
Right.
using the temporary sign guidelines.
Gotcha.
Because I can't tell you exactly where that is, but I was
Yeah.
reading through it last night, and it basically is giving you the authority
Yeah.
to make this a permanent sign through
Through the
a
temporary sign.
but through
Sure.
permanent measures.
Yeah. I think,
You're
I think
checking
it's,
it now, but that sounds what.
Yeah, I just didn't want you guys to have to come back or reapply every so often to have to keep this,
Just the
permanent.
temporary is defined as 30 days or less.
right.
But let me, can you tell me what that bylaw is again?
Yep.
Can I read it out loud? It says, signs for nonprofits, the town's temporary sign granting authority may authorize signs for nonprofit organizations of any size, construction, location, and duration in
Okay.
the same manner
Oh,
as
okay.
approval of temporary.
So the duration, yeah, okay. Could be, so you could approve it for duration up to any time.
yes,
Indefinitely then.
yes.
Yeah.
Do you have anything further you want to ask,
Yeah,
Bob?
seems pretty clear.
Well, then I would entertain a motion to approve the temporary sign permit. I think we would make it for, indefinitely, or?
Yes. I'll make a motion that we approve the temporary sign permit for the Evening Star Lodge on Laurel Street with,
Waive the fee too,
yeah.
because they're a
and we're gonna-
nonprofit.
Yeah, we're gonna waive, I would suggest that we, as part of the motion, that we waive the fee and that we attach the bylaw to the permit itself, so that we can show that there's special dispensation for
being a temporary,
nonprofit.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, and we're approving
The
it.
first one of these that's come up,
Yeah.
I think, since
Right,
this
yeah.
board has,
yeah.
since you guys have been here. So,
This sign is actually smaller than the ones that's at the state police too, so
Right.
it's a
Yeah.
much smaller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And just to give
yeah,
you
appreciate it.
kind of an idea of what we're gonna do.
Yep.
Okay, so I have a motion, and I will second that. And do you have anything further you'd like to
Yeah.
add? If there's no further discussion, then I will call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Should be all set.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
they're great application also. I mean,
Thank you.
wish everybody was as well prepared.
Been doing this for about 2 weeks now.
Citing, citing the zoning laws.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll let Gordon come back in before we take on our next order of business, but we have a targeted assessment brownfield presentation from our town planner.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
I'm just going to get my computer set up here. It'll be on this screen. I have a presentation from UConn. So a few months ago, we received a grant for a tab. They call it UConn Tab, which is targeted assessment of brownfields, for them to study a portion of our town and discuss possible interest for the future. And in this discussion, when we were originally talking about this was the same time when the planning board started to discuss mill redevelopment bylaws. And so kind of to make everything on the same page in a larger project, we decided to focus on the 3 mills in town that are underutilized currently, being the Columbia, the Greylock, and then the Mountain Mill, which they also refer to in this presentation as the Greenwood Mill. So I'm just going to give a quick, brief synopsis. This was a 54 slide PowerPoint from UConn that did a fantastic job, and I believe that you all have this, but if you don't, I can also send, they did a presentation that they recorded that I can also send to you all, and there is also specific reports as well that goes more in depth regarding the different plans. So, but yeah, so again, in general, Columbia, Greylock, and the Mountain Mill, all 3 are privately owned. Well, the Mountain Mill was recently in auction. The closing for that is next week. So all 3 of these are essentially private owned. But we wanted to look at this as a holistic approach, looking at larger developments going on in town based on our zoning. So in this presentation, they go through a lot of site history, environmental history, demographics of the community, and then different plans and studies, environmental constraints, and different infrastructure and traffic possibilities. I'm not going to go into all of that. Again, it's a very lengthy presentation, but it was a very good job. So going into it, they go into a lot of history about the mills, which I personally learned a lot. I didn't know a lot about these mills. For instance, Columbia Mill was established in 1827, so a very, very old building, and it was the first supplier of 100% groundwood newsprint to the New York Times. I'm sure most of you, if all of you know, it's right on the floodplain, which presents a different set of issues, including the dam and safety issues, as the Columbia Mill Dam is classified as one of our significant hazard dams in our hazard mitigation plan. So there's a little bit more to go into regarding that. There's aging utilities, waterline issues, and just historic designation, which requires more sensitivity and reuse or demolition. And these are some older photos that they were able to find of the mill before 1877. They couldn't put an exact date on it, but it's the bottom right corner, which I thought was very interesting because as you see, as the mill did age, the buildings kind of increased. So some of the floor plan is original kind of 1807, but there are also newer buildings that also might have less aging infrastructure. We don't really know the whole look of it since we weren't able to get into it, but it's very interesting that you can kind of see the growth of the town with the growth of the mill. So looking at Columbia Street again, Greylock Mill, so just down the road you can actually see Columbia on the same map as Greylock. Greylock was a little different, is a little different, has a very large tract of woodland and wetlands next to it, which presents kind of a different issue, but it's a much newer mill that was built in 1965 by Kimberly Clark and it operated till 2008. So looking and comparing it to Columbia Mill, the amount of issues regarding abandonment might not be the same because it hasn't been underutilized as long. So again, a large problem, it's a very large tract of land, but the wetland issue, this map doesn't show it very well and I can't show it, but basically where that pin is on that map, there's a stream that cuts right down there, and the southern half of the property is primarily wetlands from what Mass Mapper says. I mean, again, a separate wetland delineator should actually go in there and delineate the wetlands, but from what we can tell, there's a lot of wetlands in there as well. But a lot of historic use, also a water settling tank up in the top left corner, which historically did, and I don't have photos here, but actually also did some water filtration with Columbia as well. So these mills kind of at one point did interconnect and use together, which creates some questions of, different types of abandonment and how recent was different parts of the equipment used. But again, just kind of keeping this broad, the Greylock Mill, it's not as old and it has been used more recently than the Columbia Mill. So looking forward, again, Greylock also has this flood zone issue and this dam risk issue. It's not as imminent as Columbia because it's not right on Houstonic, but it's close enough that it still is in the floodplain and it has significant risk for flooding and mitigation in the future. And so we were looking into different site reuses, and so UConn, his name is Chris, was a student, kind of worked with different people in his department to come up with what he would suggest as an ideal reuse of these properties. So for Columbia, apologies if you can't tell the difference between the colors, they are also labeled with numbers, but it's kind of hard to see. The large building is the first one, which is a very large manufacturing building, potentially, with 3 different loading docks. Then there's a small purple building, which is kind of a flex space they would suggest with 1 loading dock, or 2 loading docks, depending on where you wanted to place the loading docks. But as you can just tell in a nutshell, there's a lot of space and a lot of buildings that can all be used for either light industrial, for manufacturing once more. All the buildings except the orange building, the yellow building, it's hard to see, have the possibility to have different loading docks. So they have enough property that it could still be used as a more manufacturing heavy, with that yellow building, which in the top is in the back right, bottom is the front left, kind of be like the office hub space for Columbia. But there's a lot of possibility with the right zoning. Yeah.
Not to interrupt you,
No.
Brooke, is this site also part of the A-Rod overlay district,
So it's
or not yet?
not necessarily yet.
Okay.
It could be. So I was going to get into that later, but I can touch upon it
Okay,
now.
no, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, this is honestly a great segue.
Yeah,
So again, a part of why I wanted to apply for this grant and wanted to work with UConn is because originally, we had West Mass Development come out and look at different areas in town that they would be interested in developing, and they were basically like, your zoning is kind of restrictive, and there's not really any property that we'd be willing to just tell any clients to readily go and develop. And, you know, after getting that feedback, I spoke with the planning board, and it was, you know, how can we improve our bylaws? How can we make it not as restrictive to have developers feel like they can't even come in and talk to us? It was very like, yeah, you guys are very nice and everything, but we're not really interested. So, started having these conversations with the planning board, applied for this grant in the meantime. And since this has actually finished, we're working with BRPC, specifically CJ Haas, to kind of review and ensure that our zoning is all the same, all the definitions make sense. That's friendly, it's easy to read, there's a table of uses, and just clear for developers, which includes looking at our A-Rod and seeing if there's anything we could change for it. Because originally, the feedback I've received from different developers, when they look at the A-Rod, you know, district, and they read the different parts of the bylaw, it seems like it's for a large building, but not a size of the mills.
Okay.
And so by kind of expanding the A-Rod and make it be for any larger building, you know, we've just had one meeting with CJ, he'll be at our next planning board meeting, so it's still very much in its infancy, but hopefully the goal is to be able to expand our definition of our A-Rod and make sure that we're not necessarily not thinking about buildings on this scale when we have them in town.
Thank you.
Yeah, does that answer your question?
Oh, yes,
Okay,
thank you.
perfect. So again, I won't really necessarily go into it, but there's a lot of possibility on the site of the Columbia Mill. Going to Greylock, not much of Greylock has changed from what they're suggesting, besides one new building, which is 5, so it's kind of the one closest to East Street, I believe, or Greylock Street. And that would be, you know, they say it could be a building with loading docks, it could be healthcare, it could be office space, it could be childcare. There's a lot of possibility with it because the building itself, the footprint is still, it looks relatively good. As we talked about, the mill closed in 2008, so it hasn't been vacant as long as the Columbia Mill. But again, you know, all in all, they have the possibility for 11 loading docks and 121 total parking spaces, and a handful of ADA spaces as well. So after the discussion with these two properties, you know, I was wondering how, with the implications of the different floodplain and current conditions and the dam mitigation and the wetlands in this scenario, actually the feasibility of it, and UConn was very hopeful that with the right developer, these sites they still definitely are definitely feasible for larger scale projects. Again, that's kind of more zoomed in. You can see all the parking, which is really already there. The building, the only new one would be that 5, which is a smaller one closer to the east side of the property. Oh, no. That wasn't everything that I wanted to show you all, but apologies. This might be. I'm sorry for the loading, but essentially I wanted to talk a little bit. The last property was the Mountain Mill property, which I don't know why this isn't loading. I can pull it up. But essentially this property was owned by the town when we started on this endeavor. And that was why a heavy portion of this was focused on this property, just for us to come up with ideas of what we could do for it if it didn't sell. But it did sell at the auction, which was great news. So essentially this property has a history of PFAS contamination and a solid waste landfill as well. So it's kind of a twofer with different constraints as well as being on the Greenwater Brook. So we have some riverfront problems, wetland problems with developing that made it a very difficult site. And this is the one when West Mass Development came out to specifically look at, we took them to the site and they were like, that's a very tough one to redevelop. UConn came up with the same basically answer of it's a very tough site to redevelop. The existing footprint's very small, it's right on the road. And in our current zoning bylaw, if there was a new build, it'd be in the setbacks. So it's right off the road. and it's in very bad disrepair. The roofs are all falling down. There's a lot of questions with structural integrity of the property itself. So, in general, what UConn recommended to do if this was our property would be to demolish, do some site mitigation, and clean up the different facilities as much as we can. The solid waste landfill is going to stay there, the PFAS landfill will stay there, but to make sure they're capped and continue to monitor to make sure there's no spreading of that, and to actually make essentially a park there. So to demolish the buildings, have a little parking lot, have a little area for recreation that is definitely designated and different than these two landfills. Have a bridge going over the brook and lead into the woods that are alongside the property. So I apologize that my PowerPoint didn't load with that, but I think that you all do have that, which was very interesting, and it was another way to ensure that even if these spaces aren't used and just reused for what they originally were, that there are still possibilities for our open space or different municipal needs as well as identified in our master plan and our OSRP plan. So again, overall, UConn has a fantastic presentation I can share with anybody that's interested. They did a fantastic job, and there also are 2 reports that I can share as well. Columbia and Greylock are combined into 1 report, and Mountain Mill is separate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just a question. In all of this review, I know Greylock and Columbia are tied together. Any comments about that green pipe that goes from one to the other? And because everybody asked, when are they going to get rid of it? Now, was that at all addressed here, or did they not even look at that?
So they looked at that for historic use, and I don't
Okay.
remember what it was. I believe it was just either water to that tank, that settling tank that was in front of, if you were on Columbia Street in front of Greylock. But essentially, there's no use for it right now. It's
Okay.
not on its way of falling down from what they could tell, but it's
Okay.
not, it also hasn't been upkept. So,
Is it true that the Greylock Mill actually owns those lines, or are they shared? 'Cause
yeah, so the
Same owner, right?
Same owner.
Oh, the
Same owner
Right,
owns
right.
both of those
Owns
mills.
both mills.
I thought at one point the owner had committed to taking the pipe down, but I haven't seen any motion forward. I didn't know. That's why I didn't know if
Yeah, I
if
haven't.
UConn talked to him about that.
I
or
believe they
I
reached out.
asked them when they.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. Maybe you can give us a heads
Well,
up.
we issued a cannabis permit to them
Yeah.
when I was first coming on the board, and I asked them if they would take those pipes down, but they said,
Good.
"Oh, we'll consider it."
Different
And
owner
then
now, I
consider
guess.
Yeah, this was years ago, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This would be useful for bringing in potential new developers to have this
Yeah, and
report
so-
is a good start for
well,
that and for
That's what I was
grants, right?
wondering too,
Yeah.
is like, do the owners of these properties, I mean, so the Columbia Mill and Greylock Mill, same owner, Forest Street, do they have this information? Should we
So,
reach out to them, or do they?
Yeah, I'm
are they
planning to reach out to
interested?
them. I was somewhat waiting to see what the planning board wants to do with their bylaws, so that way
Yeah.
it can kind of be a combined, we've improved our bylaws, we want to improve relationships, and we also got this done. If you wanted to have any ideas of how we could bring new developers in, that, this is a feasibility study that we're willing to share and help out anyway.
I would think that the planning board may wish to, at some point along the line, bring in the owner
Yes.
before they make commitments, because they're,
Yeah.
somebody may have something in their imagination that we want to make sure is applicable and available to developers.
Absolutely, not this meeting, but the next meeting that CJ comes, we're planning to invite, owners
Great.
of large vacant areas in town, or areas that this bylaw would definitely impact. We just were originally gonna do it this meeting, but, after discussion with BRPC, they decided to wait one more, so that way we can get a better idea of background for the planning board and planning board's goals before we invite more people in.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting, particularly about on Forest Street. I have an 1868 atlas, and at that time, there were all kinds of mills along that stream, and the foundations are still there.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going on underground, even in those
It
locations?
was really interesting, and in the
Yeah.
full reports, they go into more about specifically what they were used for,
Yeah.
when the last time they were operational, kind of the history of who worked there. That mill was owned by the Benson brothers and opened up in the 1800s as well.
Yeah.
That was really interesting. And parts of the mill are on Massachusetts list of historic registry.
Oh, really?
which was
Okay.
kind of interesting. And there was a lot more information about different, like you said, different facilities down that Greenwater brook as well, which was interesting to learn about. So definitely, if you all are bored or want to do something in your free time, this was a lot of really neat history to learn about the town that I really enjoyed, as well as obviously seeing the feasibility of these sites were very exciting as well.
Great, thanks for the presentation.
Yeah,
Do you-
thank you.
anybody have anything else?
No, it was very informative, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll look forward to see what becomes.
Absolutely.
All right. Our next order of business, general business, we have a odor mitigation discussion. And this is in regards to Green Theory cultivation, which I think their DBA is Aruna right now. So we'll begin the discussion tonight, but in all fairness to Harsh, he couldn't make it, and so we will continue this discussion till our next meeting, at which point he should be able to attend. At least that was his request, so we'll I'd like to make good on that. Really, to begin the discussion, and I think it's been going on for some time. Well, I know it's been going on for some time, but there's an odor issue that we're having with Aruna and a couple other outstanding bills that have come to my attention. And I don't know, do you either of you have anything you'd like to say to begin? Or would you like
I'm
to
willing
wait till
I'm willing to
till
wait
Harsh? Yeah.
until Harsh is here, and I hate to,
Yeah, I think in all fairness to him, that fits with me. Bob? You have
Yeah,
anything
no,
you-
the concerns are quite specific, and so let's let him respond to those specific concerns.
Very good. With that, we will move on to our next order of general business, in which we have the approve and sign an environmentally preferable purchasing policy. And I would say that this is pretty simple policy here that basically states that when without sacrificing safety, quality, that sort of thing, the town will try to be environmentally preferable about their purchasing. But Chris, do you want to elaborate on that at all? Or?
Yeah, just this is an update. So for the past few years, and it's kind of spearheaded by the Greener Gateway Committee, they get a grant, and part of that grant requires that we have a policy in place. So for example, the paper that we're using tonight is recycled paper. That's part of the policy, that we purchase that when it's feasible, and so this is just an update to that. That policy was quite old, and in reviewing our documents for this year's grant, the state had recommended that we were due for an update. So this is a pretty similar policy that other towns are using. We didn't really reinvent the wheel on it. It's kind of a standard one that, they sent us some samples and we tweaked a few things in it, but yeah, nothing new per se, just an update of what we've been doing.
Yeah, and there's a couple goals and objectives here, but if there's I would entertain a motion if.
sure. Mr. Chairman, if you would entertain one, I would make a motion that the town of Lee adopt this environmentally preferable purchasing policy, which is dated as adopted on October 21st, 2025, and have the chair sign.
I will second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next order of business, we have this is a memo and there's an exhibit for a change of, is this also a policy? But anyway,
it's
sorry,
it's
let me
an
back up.
IMA,
Yeah, this is our Southern Berkshire Public Health Collaborative, and there's a change to the IMA. And this is, if my understanding is right about this memo, Board of Health has already seen this and approved it?
Yeah, and then the next thing is to come to the select
Right,
board,
yeah.
so, and it's just, if you look on the second, well, you've got it open.
Yeah,
Yeah,
page.
the color page there just shows the changes, there, it changes from 10 municipalities to 12
Right.
is the main thing. that
Added
it's doing,
Tyringham and Sandusfield, is that the one in the memo?
I think that's on the other page.
Yeah,
but
Sandusfield and Tyringham have been added.
So
so-
that's the bulk of it. They
Yep.
did make some other little changes but,
Well, yeah, I'd entertain a motion to approve the Exhibit C revision to the Southern Berkshire Public Health IMA.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the Exhibit C revision for the Southern Berkshire Public Health Collaborative.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next, we have a temporary sign permit application to consider. This is from First Congregational Church right next door, 25 Park Place, and they are having a craft fair. The date of the craft fair is November 22nd, 10 to 3, right at the church, 25 Park Place, but they're looking for a temporary sign permit from October 25th to November 22nd. So is there any issues with the application, or would one of you like to make a motion?
Just finishing reading it to make sure I read it correctly.
Yeah, and they're requesting
Yeah.
a fee waiver as
Yeah.
well.
All right, Mr. Chairman, after review of this, I would make a motion that we approve the temporary sign permit application as written and waive the fee and allow the chair to sign.
Any second thought?
A motion and a second, sign permit. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Next order of business, we have a 250th anniversary committee to create. So, is it 2027
correct, yeah.
is our 250th anniversary as a town?
Yeah, next year, 250 years of independence in 26, and then, which we've started to get involved in that. And actually, Brooke, Sabrina, and I attended a meeting with Senator Mark a couple weeks ago on the statewide initiative, and this is one of the things that came up too, is that there are a few towns, including Lee, that's like within a year or two of that, to kind of continue that celebration, and the chamber had also reached out about it, expressed interest in doing something as well. So to keep it as a whole town-wide thing, we thought the best approach would be to form a municipal ad hoc committee for that. So see if the board is interested in doing so, and we can get it promoted for membership, so.
Well, I certainly am interested in creating this. Do either of you have any thoughts?
No, absolutely. I mean, there's involve a lot of people. It's the Historical Society Commission, the Chamber. I mean, I can remember going to the 1961 150th anniversary in Great Barrington, and the whole town was involved. It was just a great celebration. There's a lot of opportunity here and potential. So.
I think the idea is to make it like not just one event, but a year-long series
Sure.
of things. You know,
Yeah,
like
that'd be
Founder's Day might have a 250th theme to it, but
Right.
that's not
Yes.
the only,
Sure.
the event. There would be other things throughout the year that would follow that.
Sounds good.
So is it up to us to figure out how many members this committee's gonna be? Do we want different committees represented in this committee, or, you know? give it-
Yeah, so I think this was sort of a discussion tonight to
Yeah.
see if the board would be interested. The next, the next step would be to determine membership, whether we just want to do it by numbers, whether you want, representatives from different groups to be a part of it, which I think is probably the way to go. Happy to put together a draft for the next meeting if the board is interested in doing that
Well, I think we can think about it until then and have, we'll all give you our thoughts independently, and then we can kind of reconvene. if that makes sense, or at our next meeting to discuss sort of a draft or whatever, however, it comes to be.
Yeah, I mean, the preliminary, like the discussion that Alex and I had, when Alex from the chamber had mentioned this was, we want to be able, we don't want to limit it to,
Right.
So if we have the downside of certain, criteria, one member from this and one member for that is that we might forget somebody, and this might be big enough that we want to not just involve members of town committees, but you have groups like, like the Masons that were here tonight, the Kiwanis, the Lions, the Sons of Italy, might want the Historical Society. So, it's going to be a tricky one to try to put a cap on. So
Well, that's kind of what I was
you don't want to
thinking.
exclude any group that wants to help
But
out.
you also don't want 30 people on it.
Right. So,
Say the old adage, a camel is a horse designed by a committee.
so, but yeah, if you are interested, we can continue this discussion and.
That would be my thought, is we'll all give you our thoughts independently, and we'll kind of rehash this next meeting and
One
put it
thought.
out. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you.
And then I was just gonna say, put it out for, the public to
Yeah.
apply for the committee.
That's what I was gonna go there, is like, put it out and just get the people in the lead to give their suggestions, And, that was my only thought, is don't limit it to committees and all that, as you mentioned. And, because there's gonna be, I think there'll be a lot of interest in this, and a lot of people will
Yeah.
put a lot of work into it.
For anyone who's watching, feel free to reach out
Absolutely.
If you have any ideas, let us know.
Oh,
Contact Chris or Sabrina for us and give me your thoughts. Any other discussion about 25th anniversary? Nothing
all
at this
good.
point? Okay, moving on then. Our next order of business, we have a couple of appointments to consider here, both to the Historical Commission. Lori Kropowski, something like that, sorry, I butchered that, and Marcia Slominski. So, what would you gentlemen like to do?
Can we do both at once?
Sure.
Mr. Chair, I'm very pleased that they're willing to serve.
Yeah.
I move that we appoint Lori Kropkowski and Marcia Slominski to the Historical Commission.
I would second that.
I have a motion and a second. My only discussion is, I think they've been asking for members for a while now, right?
yeah, I believe this will now fill the committee.
Oh,
So
great.
That
Yeah.
will be,
Nice.
that will be good, yeah. We
That's
had two
great.
members that passed away within the last couple of years, and they haven't been filled yet, so this will, I believe, will give them the full board now. So.
All right.
And Lori is also on CPA, which is good as well, because they don't have any membership at the moment that's doing CPA. So that kind of fills two roles, because historical preservation is one of the buckets for CPA, so.
Sounds good.
All right, motion and a second, and if there's no further discussion, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next order of business, we'd like to give everybody an update and just kind of informal or informational announcement here about the EPA, PCB, rest of river, I guess, process here is, and I know this has been coming for some time, so if people are surprised, well, but they have let us know now that they're planning starting at November 3rd, they're gonna start activities up at the dump site. That's basically the big part of this, of what we've learned and what they've informed us of them starting this fall. It's not gonna be the creation of the dump yet, but they will start land clearing and such, so. Wanted to get that out here, let everybody know, and we're meeting, we have a PCB committee meeting tomorrow, where we'll be discussing this and some comments, to go along with this. And, so that's really all that I had to say. If there's either you want to add to that, or Chris, you'd like to
Well, just,
expand?
yeah, so our consultant did put together some recommendations, which I shared with the board recently and the PCB committee, so they're gonna look at those tomorrow night. This is the final, what they call SIP, and I apologize, but I can't remember exactly what that
Probably a
stands
site
for.
improvement program
Something
or
like that, yeah,
something
that's
like
an
that.
acronym for, so we do have till October 31st to submit any comments. There was not a regular comment period on this, but they did send it to the town as soon as it was available to put in any comments. So we did get things back from our consultant, and we'll be running it through the committee. The other is that due to the government shutdown, the meeting that they were gonna have, I believe it was originally on November 12th, is gonna get moved to December 3rd at the, this was gonna be at the high school cafeteria. So it hasn't actually been posted yet, but I know we did discuss it a little bit at the PCB meeting, and if anyone's heard about it, they are looking to do an informational meeting, but it looks like that's gonna be early December now, so. So I think that was my only other update, so.
If I may?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I was approached by somebody in a restaurant the other night and said, oh, I'm really sorry, you know, it looks like they're gonna have a dump and they're gonna be, but this is an ongoing process. This has been going on 6 years now. It'll be in January. It's an ongoing process. It's somewhat of a joust between the residents of the river corridor and the corporation, GE. And as has been said, they're going to be preparing the site. None of the poisons are going to be moved to the site. We don't know when or if that will happen. There's a lawsuit going on with Monsanto, which will impact how things go forward here. And so I just encourage people, if there's a comment period, let people know. This is not the end of anything. As I say, it's an ongoing process, so don't despair. We are doing everything that we can to make sure that we have a positive outcome for the town of Lee.
Well said. Okay, if there's nothing further on that, we will conclude general business and move on. Next order of business, any topic the chairman could not reasonably anticipate. I don't have anything in front of me, but do either of you have anything you'd like to add?
I have nothing.
I have nothing to say.
At this point then, I would hand it over to Chris for the town administrator report. We have an ARPA update, looks like.
Yeah, so we're actually wrapping up ARPA. It's been a while, but.
I'm surprised we still have money left when I saw that memo come.
Yeah, so there was there was some good news there. We did receive a grant for broadband. So a good portion, we had two things actually happen. One was a good portion of the ARPA money that was left was going for public Wi-Fi. That's now being covered by the broadband grant. And so we don't need as much for that. And then we had a couple other projects that were non-town projects, but part of that money did go to, was available to nonprofits and so forth, that wasn't actually needed to be used. So as we're winding down the last of that ARPA money, we do need a little bit more for the public Wi-Fi, which is shown in here. It's 3 more months until that broadband grant kicks in. And then we had a little bit going over to Crossway for another repair of one of their appliances there. We had given a lot to the housing. This part will actually go to the senior center at Crossway. But again, these are all have to fit into certain categories. So what we essentially did was expand some of those categories. And so the third category was on some of our outdoor parks. And so we just happened to have a CPA money this year that funded a study on the Long Cope Stockbridge Road area and made a number of recommendations on the parking some hazard trees, adding some new town forest kiosks and so forth. And so we're able to, through our, DPW and the ARPA money, start to implement some of those recommendations, which would include making improvements at Long Cope, taking out some hazard trees around the parking area, putting new gravel down, making that a little more open, and then improving the access to the Stockbridge Road area. As you recall, we had a school group looking to use that, and some future plans to connect into Long Cope Park. So this would allow our DPW to get what they need to put an improved entrance in there, and then a minimal parking area. So
Start small.
yeah, and then increase, and then just for all the town parks, they recommended new kiosks and signage. Most of them don't. We did add a new one to the Pinnacle.
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
For that.
the others don't have it and are in need of new signage. So
Great.
Great.
Anything else?
no, I think that's it.
All right,
I
appreciate
have
it.
a question,
It's just one.
if you don't mind.
Sure,
Since
go
he's
ahead.
got it up. It's just something that I heard, I swear I went to the Berkshire Regional Planning meeting, and I think I heard it there. Renee Wood was talking, and I think that she mentioned in Sheffield that they got AT&T, I thought it was, or Verizon, to finish running some kind of fiber optics, which we already have fiber optics. But somehow or another, they've worked a deal, and I think they're part of the five-town cable collaborative.
Yeah, Sheffield is, yeah.
Yeah, and they're gonna be able to offer their citizens a choice, finally, of what cable they wanna get. And I'd like to look into that, because this is ridiculous what Spectrum does, and our TV is terrible. Constantly, the channels go out, it glitches out, it goes digital. I mean, it's terrible. And we've had them in looking at our lines and redoing connections, and it's just, I've heard it from our neighbors. It's terrible. It just, the screen goes black, and then you can't get it back. You have to change the channel. Then you jump back, and all of a sudden it's there. It's just really, I'd love to have a choice. So if we could maybe check with Sheffield, maybe you could talk to their administrators, just see, how'd you do this? And why does
This
it
is for
not
cable
violate?
TV, not.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
for, well, my understanding
It
it's
would be
for
internet,
cable.
too.
Yeah, and yeah, even if it's just internet,
Yeah.
I'd be happy to, because my internet, they keep slowing me down.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
There's a whole different situation for internet. And
Yeah.
there
Yes.
are some companies that, have
Understood.
approached towns in this area, including Lee, about the potential to add another choice for fiber internet.
Yeah.
Cable, I'm not sure about, but we have not had a great representation on our cable board. Now we finally have a new member.
Yes, we
there,
do.
So,
It'd be great to
But
look
happy to
into it.
check that out.
Oh, man, because if we could have a choice and tell Spectrum to step up, because they have gone downhill terribly in the last 5 or 6 years. In my mind, and the way it comes into our house has been terrible. So, anyway, thank you very much for looking into it. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I should have done it under
all right.
matters
It's
not
quite all right.
provided, and
Quite all right.
I goofed it up.
All right, well, that concludes our meeting for tonight, and our next regular meeting will be November 4th. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
It would be my pleasure to make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.